to episode 3. In episode 3, we will discuss how technology is being used across industries and enterprises to bring about the changes that are required to infuse sustainability. Really nicely, because there you can see lots of technology helping, technology aiding the efforts that you're making. And Latha, this is something that I wanted to come back to you about and just consider some of the sort of technology solutions, anything that we can think of. We've heard there a lot about the sort of connected consumer. We've heard of lots of different elements and facets of trying to reduce waste, etc. But anything that you're seeing that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. So within Bristol Myers Squibb, there are several organizations, whether they are from manufacturing, procurement, or commercialization, etc. IT is enabling each of these organizations. But even within IT, there are definitely opportunities for us to adhere and incorporate sustainability in our day-to-day operations. For example, a recent success story that we have had is transporting our end user, thousands of end user devices from China to Chicago or New Jersey. A simple change, transporting through ocean instead of air, has led to reduction in carbon emission, and it's only a fraction of carbon emissions when you are comparing ocean versus air, and we were still able to deliver to our BMS goals, etc. We also look at opportunities of extending our hardware circularity. How do we optimize the useful life of our assets, recycling it, refurbishing it, and redeploying these, or even donating, hitting on our social aspect of ESG, donating it to NGOs. Recently, we have done that to an NGO in South Africa. So it's wonderful to see it's a win-win both for our stakeholders. Our other panel members talked about how each of our organization is enabling and leaving this world a better place. So enabling even our NGOs with IT assets, for example. We also talked, that was an example of a transportation, but even from a packaging standpoint, bulk packaging, many quite often as huge organizations like ours, we are procuring thousands of laptops for our enterprise. And how do we incorporate sustainable procurement as part of the IT supply chain? Quite often, we get a laptop in a single device packaging, we unpack it and throw away the packaging. How do we switch that from a single device packaging to a bulk packaging where we are able to ship 10 or 100 devices in one box? So, simplifying it even from a packaging standpoint. So, very simply, these are small examples within IT, but even from manufacturing, where IT is enabling manufacturing, we have seen our manufacturing sites being built in Netherlands, for example, using green energy sources from day one and zero waste to landfill from day one. Also, I've heard about green chemistry, which is wonderful, that how each and every organization within Bristol Myers Squibb, whether it is manufacturing or commercialization, also switching to 100% electric vehicles in our fleet. So, and sustainability procurement for each of our organizations. So, together, we have seen a lot of small steps, but leading to major impact and hitting our sustainability goals.
That and much of what you said, Ashish, I want to come back to you in terms of fleet and management and route optimization that you mentioned earlier, and Latha, you've picked up on that. But before I do, Mark, I was struck by something that you said in particular around those scope 3 emissions and even helping people not to make the journey to the pharmacy. how is technology? Am I going down the wrong track, perhaps? But is technology in any way helpful to doing any of the work that you need to do with patients directly?
Yeah, I mean, this is a direct area expertise, so I'll be careful about commenting on kind of commercial tech. I'm more on the sort of the R&D and supply chain side. But yeah, anything we can do to help our patients make more effective use of their medicines or get their medicines more effectively is going to be good. And certainly there's a lot of digital enablement around what channel, right? So how do we market to patients? How do we allow our sales forces to take the right next best action and just optimize that whole process? So digital is playing a huge role in that. And I think from my perspective, what's exciting in that commercial space, as far as I understand it, is we used to have a bit of a one size fits all type approach to our commercial activities. So we sort of scattergun the entire patient population. I think what's really exciting now with data analytics is the ability to target information to healthcare professional or to patient in a much more targeted fashion, get the right information to the right people at the right time to allow them to make the best decision. The other thing that just struck me as Latha was talking there on BMS, very similar. But the one thing I'd add actually, and I'm sure it must be similar in BMS, is there's a huge revolution going on in terms of in silico experimentation and simulation. So anybody who works in pharmaceuticals will know that we have a huge attrition problem. Most of what we do in R&D never translates into medicine, and we're trying to use digital to really tackle that, and the whole industry is trying to do that, and that has a big impact because, of course, in silico experimentation and simulation to understand disease and understand potential medicines, much more environmentally friendly than kind of a wet chemistry approach. Now we still have to do some of that wet chemistry, but if we can break the understanding using modeling in silico, that is a huge breakthrough in terms of the footprint of the R&D operations.
Fascinating, really interesting. Ashish, anything in particular, any sort of interesting applications of technology from your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Latha covered some great points. I had similar points as well. But again, one big initiative that Radial is taking right now is moving to cloud. I think this is reducing the data center footprint, right? I mean, that's very important because a lot of energy savings come through that. Moving to cloud, it's always smart. Again, moving to cloud again is like cutting energy costs, improving data analytics. I mean, using AI ML. I think a lot of this is driving, like Latha mentioned. IT is an enabler, right, for a lot of the processes that we do today. Be it fulfillment, supply chain. It's all there's a lot of manual work, but again, at the same time, there's a lot of IT driving robotics, automation, because that coming into play. I mean, going away from the energy, right? You get into robots which are using batteries to work. So you're looking at alternate sources, and warehouses are huge, humongous, right? I mean, there are typically a million square feet, and we typically have 30 such facilities in North America. Not every facility is a million square feet, but again, the usage of energy, right? How can we reduce that, right? There is a lot of thought process going in there, using solar energy, right, wherever required. I mean, we are still getting there. We are trying to get solar energy in place so that way we can reduce our energy costs and also reduce that footprint, right? Contribute to the sustainability initiatives. So I think that's one big initiative that we are doing. Also reducing a lot of the legacy applications that we have in play. Again, that comes down to basically how we can optimize in terms of packaging. Latha mentioned, right? I think that's the key for us because we ship a lot of packages on a daily basis, right? And once you go to cloud, you're using your AML algorithms to basically use the right size packaging, right? And that's the most important. You're not wasting anything, so you are reducing, cutting waste there as well, right? So that's very important. Again, we in our terms we call split shipments. We really don't want to split shipments. We want to make sure that we consolidate as much as possible and cube the trailer as much as possible. That way, the trailer is always full. We call it truckload. We fill it to the brim and ship one shot, right? That's also called shipment consolidation. So those are some of the initiatives that we're looking at where we can cut emissions, reduce waste, right? That's probably one of the key areas for us. And like I mentioned, robotics automation. So Radial is investing a lot in the state-of-art automation. Right? This is more for picking, packing efficiencies. A lot of efficiencies that can be gained and also cut energy costs. So And we use a lot of pallets. I think Latha talked about pallets where, that on the pallet you basically build out boxes. So, I mean, reusing those pallets. Typically, they are wooden pallets traditionally, but now we are getting into, plastic-based pallets. I know it's still, we're getting there, but at least, you're not throwing away wooden pallets, right? So, we are trying to get into plastic reusable pallets. And that's one more thing that we are big on right now. And these are like day to day, a huge impact at the end of the day, because we run into like thousands and thousands of these pallets, right? So I mean, it's a huge environmental impact at the end of the day. We are also using eco-friendly, sustainable packages. That's something that we are trying to bring into the system. There is also recycling your inbound, outbound packages, the boxes. I think Latha talked about it as well, because all the boxes that go out, right? I mean, we should be able to get it back into the system and reuse them, right? It should not be throwaway. So there's a lot of work going on in this area, AV. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
No, very, very interesting, fascinating. And I'm conscious of time, but I do want to come back to Tsvi. I think we could probably talk for the rest of the day on this. But Tsvi, just anything that you wanted to add in terms of, I think it was quite interesting, the whole dimension, Ashish, that you were talking about in terms of energy and trying to source renewable energy. I had the great privilege of joining a group of people for dinner recently where we talked about the energy transition and the difficulty in actually securing ourselves renewable energy and all of the different, the reliability of that, etc. So, Tsvi, I don't want to take you down that path in particular, but anything that you wanted to add in terms of what you're doing in terms of how you're leveraging technology to help you in terms of your sustainability goals?
Yes. So, as you mentioned, the challenges are real, and the challenges are real because, well, many companies now adopt ESG practices and really start to move and believe in sustainable and sustainability. Many of the other ones don't. Many of the vendors do not do that, and at best they pay lip service to say, "Yeah, of course, we are all for sustainability." But when the products that they create, the ways they manufacture, the ways they operate, does not really attest to that. Some of the things that we were trying to do is to make sure that as we look at different opportunities and different alternatives for different solutions, that the question of sustainability is not embedded in Appendix X in page 462, but it is right up front and say, okay, guys, show us specifically, what are you doing in this area for that, of course, for the relevant things that we are talking about. And it becomes one of the most important criteria of selecting the right vendors and partners to work with. In addition, we are trying to work with some partners on innovative ways to really reuse a lot of the things that are now considered to be waste. Because today, the waste that we produce, and we produce a lot, we really produce a lot of it, goes mostly to landfill. Is there a way to use some of it for other uses, either by sterilization, by some other mechanisms, so we can actually really not fill those landfills and provide those type of possibilities going forward? And last and not least, because I know we're almost out of time, it is really the commitment of our staff, everything from our clinicians to the researchers and the administrators, to actually look for opportunities and really take sustainability as a personal mission. Do not assume that someone else will take care of it. Okay, there is no someone else. It's all upon you, and it is the personal commitment that is actually very helpful as such. And with this, and when you are fully committed to this, and you involved your suppliers and your patients and your business partners, etc., and they start to believe that you're serious about it. This is not just it's nice to have on the corporate URL or website to say we are that. That actually helps. Similarly to when almost every company on earth have the statements that our people are our assets. Wonderful. What are you doing about it? Similarly here, sustainability is critically important for us. Great. What are you doing about it? And that's really the differentiation. With this, I'll end.